Hey guys, how's it going? Eminem Gaming here, and today we're back with another video. Today we'll be talking about some of the worries I kind of have moving forward with the Xbox One. Some of the things I'm not really too happy with, and just some of the gripes, the worries I have, and um, I'm a PlayStation fan, but I do own an Xbox One and Nintendo console, so you know, bear that in mind, here. But for me, I just want to talk about some of my worries, particularly with the Xbox. Last generation with Sony, they were struggling a lot with money. Um, they kind of pulled it back, bringing games out like The Last of Us, and they brought a lot of great games out near the end of the generation. Um, and they kind of brought it back, with the slim PS3 at the reduced price. They did a lot of the right things at the right time. But the worrying thing is, PlayStation just never threw in the towel. When they were getting quite heavily beat by the Xbox, and particularly the Nintendo Wii. Um, they just didn't give up. They still kept putting out the AAA games. They kept putting out, uh, you know, all the things that we wanted from a PlayStation system. They kept doing it, and they kept their studios. Okay, they had a few layoffs, but they had so many studios that it kind of was not too bad. But today, if you haven't seen the news, obviously the news is that Lionhead Studios, the guys who made arguably the best game on the Xbox, which is Fable, in my opinion anyway. I like RPGs, and it was an RPG with that funny sort of British humour. So for me, it was a brilliant game. Um, so obviously, that was a really cool game to have. Fable 2 was particularly very good. Um, and a great reason, to have, an Xbox 360 was due to Fable. The problem is now, Fable Legends was obviously turned into a free to play, but it was a free to play I felt that could have had legs and, moved on and done some really, really good, damage, damage or whatever, sold some consoles because I knew people were excited for this game, and I think a lot of people would have downloaded it. Being on PC, it would have probably sold a lot in the microtransactions it had. So it would have been really exciting to see how that did. And it's kind of sad that they're gone and they never got to show us their new IP. So that's a bit frustrating. And then obviously Press Start, who were working on that Project Knoxville game. They've been cancelled. They did other games, but they're not particularly the biggest loss. But still, a studio shut down's a studio shut down. Um, but now we're kind of stuck with four Microsoft studios that have actually made games. Actually, or working on games that we know of. 343, Halo, Turn 10, Forza, Rare, that Sea of Thieves game, and the Coalition on Gears 4, on the PlayStation side. And the rest, obviously, they've got games in development, like Cuphead and, sorry, what's it called? Toma or something. The guy who made Gone Home, that game. Um, Obviously, not first party. Quantum Break, not first party again. So really, there's not really many first party making games, and you look at it: Insomniac, Sunset Overdrive, second party; Dead Rising, Capcom, third party. A lot of their best games are not from their first party studio, so that's slightly worrying. Now we look at the PlayStation list of first party: Sony Bend, Foster City Studio, Japan Studio, London Studio, Northwest Studio, San Diego Studio, Santa Monica, Evolution, Gorilla Cambridge, Gorilla Games, Media Molecule, Naughty Dog, Pixel Opus, Polyphony Digital, Sucker Punch, and XDev. That's quite an impressive list, with particularly Naughty Dog making Uncharted 4, Polyphony Digital, Gran Turismo, Sony Bend, new IP at E3, Japan Studio. They worked on games like Demon Souls and Knack and what's it called, Bloodborne, and some indie games as well. But they're a big studio. Do you know what I'm saying? You got San Diego, who make MLB The Show, Sucker Punch, Sly Cooper, and Infamous. Santa Monica, obviously God of War. Uh, you know, Gorilla Cambridge worked on Killzone Mercenaries and working on that Riggs game for VR. Then they also Guerrilla Games working on Killzone and Horizon Zero Dawn. Media Molecule Dreams, Little Big Planet, Tearaway. So a lot of first party studios are working on games that we know of, games going to be announced from them, but also obviously second party is obviously important with people like Quantic Dream and Insomniac, Ratchet and Clank. So I'm not saying I've got any problem with second party, third party exclusives. That's fine, but the problem I have is that there's only really 4 first party studios. That's the point I'm making. And can you understand my worries as like an Xbox owner? Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Xbox or anything, but I still am allowed to put my point out there when I feel displeased, and I feel definitely displeased with the actions lately. Games like that, Phantom Dust, now the new IP from obviously those Press Play and Lionhead's Fable Legends being cancelled. A lot of cancellations and not a lot of, oh, we've cancelled Fable, but here's a new game. It's kind of like Gears, Forza, and Halo, and the only one I like out of them is Gears. So for me, definitely worrying times. Then obviously the big everything, everything's going to the PC, which is, it's not a good sign for a console. Do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter. We don't buy consoles for exclusives. We buy them for the multiplats, and that's completely right. But the way I'm looking at it now, it's kind of like all the games are going to the PC, which wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact they're kind of talking about upgradable Xbox Ones. If you don't know what also was upgradable, Sega's system, and they're not really around anymore. You know what I'm saying? First party not really working on many AAA games, apart from the 3. And then you got to look at the games that Rare are doing, free to plays, and all this sort of stuff. The games of interest are either being delayed or cancelled. The worrying thing is, if Scalebound doesn't meet its deadline, is that going to be cancelled? If Recall is struggling because the guy's working on obviously Mega Man and it's not Mega Man, sorry, Mighty Number 9, and he's working on a ton of games. Is that going to be cancelled? We already know what's the names? The guys who are working on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. They've got a lot on their plate. So for me, it's a slightly worrying time. And obviously not just as a PlayStation fan. I wouldn't be worried if I didn't want them to succeed. You know what I'm saying? I want Xbox to succeed, just like I want the Nintendo to succeed, because competition will always improve the system. I think I've always said, the PlayStation 3 was the best thing that ever happened to the PlayStation. They were cocky, they kind of were arrogant, and I feel that they thought they could do anything. Putting cell processors and things, and making games hard to develop for, putting a $600 console out there. They felt a bit, cocky at the time. Now, I personally still always have preferred PlayStation, But yeah, coming off the PS2, they felt they could do anything and consumers would buy it, and it didn't work out for them. But the thing is, they stuck with the PS3 and made it, in the end, probably the best console that generation, in my opinion. It was better than the 360 in the end. At the start, no, it wasn't, but in the end, it was. Um, Obviously, much better than the Wii, in my opinion, in terms of a gaming console. Um, Obviously, not in terms of sales, he got battered, but it's just they stuck by it. They stuck by it and tried to, turn it around. I feel like Xbox, they're trying to get out of the console market. Upgradable hardware is never a good sign. And people are saying, oh, it's like your phone. Well, not really, because you don't upgrade your phone. You know what I mean? I get an iPhone 6 or a 6 Plus. I'm not upgrading an iPhone 5. I'm buying a new phone. You know what I mean? I'm paying the cancellation fee on the contract, or anytime upgrades you can have, and that's cool and everything. But you need a phone, or you don't need a phone technically, but you kind of want a phone. It's very important. Business wise. Home life. Friends. You don't need a console, and you certainly don't need a $400 console every year. And certainly me in particular, I don't want to be paying £150 upgrade on my Xbox One every year, every 2 years, until a $400, $500 console comes out. Why did I buy it in the first place? Is the question. So I don't think an upgradable console is very good. And for me, it's just to, instead of saying, look, the console's dead, we're not working on it anymore, we're going to produce it until, let's say, 2020, and that's it, we're going full PC, and being honest, they're kind of sugarcoating it. And maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, because I don't trust Nintendo to do the right thing. Can they do the right thing? Yes, of course they can. They're Nintendo. They can pull this back and outsell the PlayStation 4 2-1. Do you know what I'm saying? But the likelihood of that happening is very, very unlikely. With them not having any third-party support will kill off the system. Taking so long to bring out Zeldas, and they'll copy and paste Mario all the time with different skins, but they can't bring out a new Zelda game for a whole generation. It's a bit frustrating to me personally, but I don't trust. Yeah, like I say, I don't trust Nintendo to be that real tough competition. I do trust Xbox, but not anymore. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sat here like, if Nintendo does go and Xbox goes, what does this mean for the PlayStation? Really, the only console I really care about. Well, this means that they're going to be unchallenged. So the console market, the living room, the average gamer has no other choice. What does that mean? It's a slightly worrying, thought. If zero sort of competition, it's a slightly worrying thought, in my opinion. But am I overreacting, guys? Maybe, possibly, who knows? But I want to give a big shout out to, obviously, Mr. Official VG. For I was talking to him on Twitter, and we were talking about this. How we were excited for Fable, a bit disappointed. This is kind of also kind of piggybacking off my friend Infinity Game 16 on Twitter. I'm going to tag both them in it. But I just want your opinion, guys. Are you worried about the Xbox as much as I am? Do you not care? Is it kind of what they deserve for the DRM thing? You let me know down below, guys. But till next time, I'll catch you in a new video.